Good evening, everyone. This is Alderwoman Dales.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hello.
Hello. Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Good evening once again. By my time, it is now 7 o'clock. I want to welcome everyone aboard this meeting tonight, and we will start our meeting off. We'll call the meeting to order, and we'll have roll call.
Okay, good evening. I'm calling roll now. Alderwoman West.
Present.
Alderwoman Tapman.
Here.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Alderwoman Reed. Alderman Carroll.
Present.
Alderman Thomas.
Present.
Alderman Christian. Alderwoman Dales. And you're muted, but I see you speaking, Dales.
Oh, I'm sorry, present.
It's okay. And Alderwoman Avant-Elliott. And then the mayor is here, city attorney is here. Chief, are you here?
Yes, ma'am, I'm present.
Okay, the city clerk, I'm here. Is Treasurer Pat Howard here?
Here.
I'm sorry, was that you, Pat? Okay.
Yes.
I got you. And I see Kathy Broussard. Is Lori, finance clerk, here? She may not be here. She did text me later, everyone, and let me know that there was an emergency and she may not make it. Okay. So Mayor, all the board members are here except Alderperson Reed did not answer and Alderman Christian did not answer.
Alderman Christian is here now.
Oh, there you are. Okay.
They're doing well. They came together, they fixed their differences.
I'm gonna mute this Larry person.
Okay. Very
Okay.
good.
Okay. Did Alderwoman Reed come in? Okay, Mayor.
Okay. Is there approval of the agenda? Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
My hand is raised, Mayor.
All right, speak please.
I would like to make a motion to amend the agenda, removing regular meeting minutes 8:20 and 8:27 as they were not ready for this board meeting.
Is there a second? Alderwoman West.
Alderwoman West and I are together, but I'll second Alderwoman Avant-Elliott's motion.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Andre,
Huh? All in favor, say aye.
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 All right, Mayor, I would
Huh?
like to make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Well, we haven't finished the motion on approving the agenda.
We just had the ayes.
Right. We hit the ayes and approving the agenda as you had with the changes you made.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I move to approve the agenda as amended.
Is there a second? Alderman Carroll.
A second.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposers, nay. Ayes have it. Just prior to opening the meeting up to the public for 3 minutes each, I'd like to read a statement, a brief statement. The statement simply says, last week there was a carnival held in the area of Lewis and Clark and Chambers Road. I had a discussion with the event planner who was acting on behalf of the property owner about obtaining a carnival permit before operating. Although I was familiar with the ordinance that gave guidance for these types of activities, my knowledge of these ordinances was not deep. With the information I had, I worked with legal intentions of having these gain compliance with the ordinance to obtain a city carnival permit. Initial inspections of the carnival site were conducted by inspections of the carnival site and were conducted to determine whether compliance measures were to be met, such as an electrical inspection, food permit, proper insurance, and the payment of associate fees per the St. Louis County Department of Public Health. Carnivals are required to obtain a COVID plan for review and approval. When it appeared that all documents provided verified compliance with the ordinance, the city was assured that the carnival was allowed to operate. It was later brought to my attention that the event planner had deceived the city through false information and invalid documentation. The carnival was ultimately shut down permanently by the St. Louis County Department of Public Health for COVID violation. Although I believe that the issuance of city permit reasonably complied with the ordinance, greater attention should have been given to our community's position on COVID and its effect on our area instead of just focusing on the legal aspect of obtaining a permit to operate and to operate and COVID compliance plan. For that, I apologize to the board and the community. Therefore, being sensitive to the community, future functions that have the potential to spread COVID will be scrutinized and assured that the community, with the community in mind, to reduce the spread of COVID. Now, in regards to employee action, since there are potential allegations of administrative and criminal violation regarding city employees, I will make no further comment on the matter. We'll turn the meeting over to the public for 3 minutes each, please. Is there anyone from the public wishes to speak?
Yeah. Yes, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor. My name is Rolando Carter, 22-year resident of Bellefontaine Neighbors, and I can appreciate the information that's provided regarding the carnival, because I was taken aback when I saw that carnival on 367 and Chambers Road, because I work in healthcare, so I know the effects of COVID-19. I think even more so the fact that 63136 is a hotspot for COVID-19. So, my concern with that was that I'm assuming, I guess with regards to the permit process, was that an independent act of you as far as that approval? And if so, it sounds like you negated to take into consideration the COVID-19 virus that's rampant. So that's one question. I'm not very familiar with the process, and that's one concern I have. And the reason why I'm here today is because this is like the second kind of embarrassing thing that I've seen in the news recently about our city. The most recent being the overdose police officer. And then just some other things I'm seeing around the city. So that's why I'm here tonight. I've worked for state government, and now, you know, when I see things that affect me personally as a citizen locally, I'm here to, you know, to kind of speak up for my community and make sure that our community is seen in the best light. So I guess my question is, was that permit approval an independent action of yours?
I just read my statement covering that. I won't go-
Okay, so, and you said you acted on lawless, in accordance with the law, or?
Well, I read the statement, and I will not go into discussion of that statement.
Okay, well, that statement be made public.
It can be made public, yes.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Anyone else?
Yes, this is Sarah Hagee. I would like to make a comment, please.
Go right ahead, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. And thank you to the Board of Aldermen and Alderwomen. I have been a citizen of Bellefontaine Neighbors in Ward 1 for 2 years. I am saddened, disheartened, and extremely troubled that the current board cannot seem to respect one another, let alone work with one another to collaborate and create one overall agenda with one common goal to make Bellefontaine Neighbors a better community and focus on the citizens' concerns, such as crime, jobs, and city management. The amount of animosity and lack of cooperation I've witnessed among this board is not only unprofessional, but completely unacceptable. I ask each of you to reflect on your motives and set aside your ego, your pandering, and begin to work together as a team, because we, the citizens of Bellefontaine Neighbors and the community, deserve better. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I have a question to ask. My name is Martha Hamilton. I've been living in Bellefontaine 12 years, and I complained to Alderman Reed about the speak, because I live on Bellefontaine and they just run rapidly on Bellefontaine. So I had a talk with a police officer, and he was saying that the police was going to sit up at the gas station in the middle of the block, but they have a shortage or something. But instead of having a carnival, why can't we stop these speeders from going down Bellefontaine? And when I was at the last meeting, they didn't have no meeting. It's just so it seems like it's chaos in Bellefontaine from the heads. So we can't get nothing done.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Go right
This
ahead.
is Wanda Lane. I'm at 9900 Martindale. There are several things, and I see that the citizens only have one opportunity to speak, so I'm going to try to make it brief. On the agenda, there's an approval of the August 12th minutes. I was concerned about that, so I contacted the State's Attorney General office, and what I was told was the meeting actually took place. That does not negate the legality of the meeting. So the minutes can be approved all they want, but that does not address whether or not the meeting was legal. So that's the first thing I like to say. Second thing, at the last meeting, the attorney made a comment about the boards, commissions, and committees needed sunshine law training. We were not all in compliance. There was a sunshine law training just a few weeks ago where the commissions and boards were invited, but when the members tried to enter the meeting, they were rejected. They were not able to enter the meeting. So maybe we could have the Sunshine Law Coordinator to come back and get a meeting for the board's commissions and committees, because there was a training. Thirdly, the board approval. I read in the St. Louis Post-Dispatch that the board did not approve the permits for the carnival. I am unaware, unless there's an ordinance I don't know, that the board approves permits for anything other than how much the permits cost. But that's what the article stated. And I also am unaware that the board approved the use of our rec center for any activities that have always taken place, like the St. Patrick's Day dinner, the Cinco de Mayo dinner, the recent barbecue. I don't recall there being any discussion about that either. So I am concerned that when there is a community, a nonprofit or community activity that is scheduled, it has to meet everybody's board's approval, because that's just not fair, in my opinion. And I'd like to ask the chief to, finally, when he makes his report, I read in the Fox 2 news article that the president had...
Sorry, Ms. Lane, your 3 minutes are up.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Anyone else?
Yes, my name is Everisha Perry. I'm at 1245 Danville. Have a question about the carnival. Was that the same vendor that had been at the Bellefontaine Neighbors parking lot, or was that a separate, different carnival?
That was a different.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Anyone else from the public who wishes to speak?
Mayor,
Go right ahead.
Pam Clark has something. She put it in the chat. I don't know if she's familiar, that she just needs to speak up and state her name and her address if she's still on. But
yeah. Yes, I am. Thank you very much.
Go ahead, speak now.
My name is Pamela Clark, and I am at 1115 Avant here in Bissell Hills. And we've been having ongoing issues, Mr. Pearson, regarding code violations over here. And unfortunately, we have not been able to get permanent resolution to what's going on. And it seems to be getting worse. This starts in March this year. And it's better now. Mr. Carroll, I've talked to Alderwoman Reed as well regarding this in detail. What I'm finding is there is no checks and balances. Example, if I file a concern or a complaint, the police come out, they tell him to turn the music down. The problem is music. He's retrofitted this vehicle 1116 with a stereo, this stereo speaker in the back, and it just blasts like nobody's business, windows shaking, everything over here. And the police come and they'll tell him, turn it off, and he turns it off. And you know, hour later, it comes back, and it's an ongoing thing. And the last time happened, I called and supervisor, they gave me the supervisor's number. He comes out, he tells them that your neighbors are complaining that you need to turn the music off. He calls me and we talk about it. I say, sir, this is not a regular radio, a car stereo that you can turn your TV up and make it go away. This is a problem with this stereo that he has. So this is the issue, Mr. Mayor. The problem is they are not following through with the complaints on this. What happens with those complaints? When they come out and find an ordinance violation has been done, what happens with it?
Okay.
Does it goes back to the chief? You know, when they come out here, do they know that we've called 3 times and police have been dispatched 3 times? What is the checks and balances is what I need to know. because nothing is being resolved. Last night, shots were fired around here, you know, and the police were over there at that neighborhood. Does somebody have to get hurt seriously before we, you guys take it seriously that the police department need to do something with the building department? Someone needs to get involved, and I want to work with you, Mr. Pearson, or your assistant there as the CEO, as the chief, to make something happen where everybody is speaking when these issues are confirmed that it's a problem. What are your next steps is my concern.
Ms. Clark, would you call City Hall and give the city clerk your name and information and the topic?
Yes, sir.
We will, we'll see how we can get with you and get things settled.
Okay, because I've been to let you know, I've been including you on these email, and I've been getting, it's like ghost. I'm not getting any response. So I'm just, I will do that tomorrow morning. I will definitely do that, and hopefully we can get some help.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Anyone else? Is there anyone else from the public who wishes to speak?
Yes.
When
you call about, hello?
Yes, go right ahead.
Yes, when you call about, I guess, derelict property and getting the grass cut in a timely fashion before it gets, 5, 6 feet tall, who are you supposed to contact? And I've been told to call the building inspector, or email the inspector, or email, I can't think of the lady's name, but I've emailed several times and sent in photos.
Yeah, you call the city clerk and we'll
And
get.
what's the name of the city clerk?
Ma'am?
The name of the city clerk?
Fran Stevens.
And then what happens?
What happens? I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Richard. Well,
And then
if you call her, then she will get in touch with me and let me know what ward you live in, and then we'll get with your alderperson and we'll see.
I can include all that in the phone call.
I beg your pardon?
I said I can include the alderperson's name in the phone call.
Okay, then that's fine. And we'll get back with you.
See, that's the problem. Getting back with me, when? 3-4 months? Or?
Well, as soon as possible.
Okay, because I've called before, and no one's ever returned my phone call or emailed me back.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Not really. Okay.
Anyone else?
Yes.
Go right ahead.
Well, I've got several complaints. First of all, I see it turn into a racetrack every day.
Excuse me, Mayor, can they state their name and address, please?
Yes.
My name is Addie Terry, 1226 Forest Home Drive.
Continue, please.
And we got race cars racing through here every evening. There's a black one and a red one. They got to be coming through here doing 80 or 90 miles an hour. In the residential area, it's supposed to be 20 miles an hour. And also, I'm complaining about, I did call in to complain about the yard next door. The grass is taller than me, and I'm 5'2". They did finally came out today and cut it. Also, I've complained numerous times about the man up the street with these 50 million cats. They've dug up my yard, messed all over everything. Whatever you plant out there, they tear it up. I got pictures of these cats. I mean, they got babies, mamas, daddies, all size cats. I've called and talked to him about it, and he don't answer his phone anymore. Picture of the alderwoman, and she said, take pictures. We got pictures. Talk to the animal control. What are we going to do to the old population of cats? They're just tore up my yard. They don't stay in his yard. They're all over the neighborhood. I'm tired of looking at them. How do we get rid of them?
Okay. Are you Madam Clerk, are you taking note of that?
Yes, I've got it, Mayor, and it's on the recorder as well. I'll get everything off tomorrow.
Thank you, ma'am, for your comment, and we will see if we can solve some of your problems for you.
I certainly appreciate it, sir. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Anyone else?
Yes,
Anyone?
I have a comment.
Go right ahead. State your name and address.
This is David Cross, 10164 Cabot.
Okay.
I guess I'd mainly direct this to the police chief. I'd like to know what can be done about all the speeding on Cabot Drive. I know the police can't patrol that street all the time, but can't we put up some radar or something?
Okay, I don't know if the chief.
Yes, I'm here. Mr. Cross, yes, we can. I will direct patrol to do periodic traffic monitoring in that area. We do that in all different parts of the city. So every time we get receive a complaint concerning traffic or special request to like a vacation check, things of that nature, it goes into a queue, into a system that the patrol officer working your sector goes through and completes those assignments throughout his shift. So I will make sure that you're talking about the 10,100 block of Cabot.
Well, the whole street from Cabot, from Coburg Lands all the way up to the shopping center, Crete.
Gotcha. Yes, I'm familiar with the area you're talking about. Yes. I will direct them to be in that area and to monitor traffic for you.
Okay, people of Cabot would surely appreciate that.
You're welcome, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Anyone else? If not, we will move. If not, we will move to.
I have another question or comment.
All right, go
On
ahead.
At Miss Green 830 Neighbor. At the end of Neighboring Trio is dead ends, and there's a stream back here, and our subdivision is pitched so that all the rainwater flows down here to Trio, at the end of Trio, and goes back to the creek. However, in the last 5, 6, 7 years, it has not been trenched back to the ground, so there's really no way for the water to go back to the creek, so it fills up in my side yard and my neighbor's front yard instead of flowing back to the creek. Is there anyone who handles that at a street department anymore, trenching that back? Because when I first moved here 15, 16 years ago, they used to do it every year.
We'll have to look into it. I can't. We have that information. We'll look into it. Thank you
So
for
who should I contact back to follow up?
just call City Hall.
City Hall.
Yes, ma'am.
And speak to whom?
I beg your pardon?
And speak to whom, sir? I mean, just in your body?
That's for the city clerk. As for the city clerk, Miss Fran Stevens.
The city clerk.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Girl, please.
All right. Thank you all for your comments. We will now need to move on to the rest of our agenda.
Approval of unapproved minutes, Mayor.
All right, approval of unapproved minutes. Would someone?
Miranda Avant-Elliott has her hand up.
All right, Alderwoman Elliott.
Mayor, can you click on participants in chat so you'll be able to see the hands raised?
I see the hands raised.
Okay, thank you. I would like to I move to approve the minutes from 8/12 and 8/13.
Alderman West.
Alderman Carroll, I second.
I'm sorry. Okay.
That's all right.
Moved and properly second to approve the unapproved minutes for 8/12 and 8/13. Are there any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Mayor, I had put something in the chat and my hand is up on the question.
Okay, what's your question?
I moved to not to approve, I'm sorry, to not approve the minutes for August the 12th. The minutes, I make an objection.
Mayor, point of order, we've already voted on this.
Well, it wasn't a complete vote.
Well, it's for the nays.
Okay.
Then ask for the nays.
Okay. I'm asking for the nays now. I'm sorry, I didn't see you in time.
No, I do not approve, and I make an objection to the minutes for 8/12. They do not reflect the true accuracy of what is occurred in the illegal meeting. Attorney White Coleman stated that Mayor Pearson and Alderwoman Tapman was not present due to previous engagements. The minutes do not reflect objections of the meeting being an illegal meeting by Alderwoman Elise Dales and Alderwoman James.
Mayor,
Thomas.
point of order. We're voting. We're not in debate anymore, Mayor.
We are in debate, Jamie. You can't
No, we're
override that.
voting. We've already,
I
point of
object
order,
to it.
Mayor.
Point of
Can I get a
order,
ruling, Mayor?
on the question.
Mayor, may I get a ruling on my point of order? We're on the voting. We're no longer debating this.
I mean, we don't need a ruling on it. You done already ruled on yourself.
Well, then can we proceed with on the agenda and then go to the city treasurer's report then?
Well, let's see. Go right ahead. Opposers, we got the ayes, didn't we? Opposers?
I oppose.
Hey, I oppose. Is all.
Can we get a roll call?
Roll call.
Okay. Alderwoman Avant-Elliott.
Yes.
Alderwoman West.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Alderwoman Tapman.
No.
Alderwoman Dales.
No.
Alderman Christian.
Yes.
Alderman Carroll.
Yes.
Alderwoman Reed.
Yes.
And Alderman Thomas.
No.
1, 2, 3. Mayor, we have, what is this one? 5 yes and 3 no's.
Okay, motion passes.
Mayor.
Yeah.
Due to the amount of people that's on the call, I would like to make a motion for a second public comment before closed session.
Well, second public comment from who?
From the public.
Oh, from the public. Okay. Moved and seconded that we have a second public comment. Moved by Alderman Elliott and seconded by Alderman Carroll. Are there any further discussion before we vote? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Okay, so we'll have a second public comment. CJ, I think I see your hand up.
Oh, she has to speak during that public comment. That's all.
Oh. Is there anyone who wishes to make a public comment?
No, it'll be at the end, Mayor.
Oh,
I
it'll be
just,
at the end.
yeah, I just made it at the end. We can proceed on.
Okay, thank you. Are we doing the regular meetings for 8/20 and 8/27? You left that off.
Yes, sir.
What do we do with that?
Mayor, that was struck on the agenda because they don't have the minutes yet. So she made a motion earlier to amend the agenda to remove those two from the agenda.
Okay, thank you. Report of city treasurer.
Good evening, Mayor.
Good evening.
Alderman. Okay, so my report will include August of 2020. I'm not sure if everyone got a copy of the previous treasurer's report that I provided, but portions of this was reflected in the previous meeting. However, the city currently holds $3.2 million in the banks that's currently managed by the city treasurer, the mayor, and the city clerk. We currently have $859,000 in the general fund, $1 million in the capital improvement fund, $366,000 in the sewer fund, $38,000 in the debt service fund, and the street improvement project fund, we have $932,000. As a FYI on bond maturities, the bond maturity dates include, which recently passed, the 1st of September. Interest payments are due on the 1st of September, which were paid just last week. In addition to that, I know that all the persons are aware of the technical issues we had in the city that resulted in a crash of one of the servers. So as a result of that, we had to, in the finance office, re-enter information dating back from mid-July through August. That was a manual process. So myself, the finance clerk, had to enter those transactions, including the budget that was previously passed. So as of now, the budget has been re-entered. The information from the end of July has been re-entered. However, we're still conducting a reconciliation of the bank account to the financial system. Also to be aware that the accounting system is not directly connected to the bank account. So the system crash did not have any impact on access or monitoring of the bank account information. So there were no risks as it relates to managing the account in that regard. In addition to that, I've also been speaking with the accounting firm that we use, the accounting company we use the accounting software with, as was previously discussed, I think it was a few months back and passed as a part of the budget, to migrate from the desktop accounting system onto a cloud-based solution. I started working with the cloud-based accounting firm to begin to migrate the information from the desktop software that we currently use onto the cloud-based solution. So that's a current working process. However, I have entered the final balance sheet information onto the cloud-based solution, and we'll be conducting a training with the finance clerk sometime next week on how to use the cloud-based solution. So I'll be doing that next week. In addition to that, I've spoken to the auditors as it relates to tax rates, because I know tax rates are due at the end of this month. However, at this time, we're waiting on the Board of Equalization numbers from the county. And so those would typically be sent this week, and they haven't been received yet. So once we receive that information from the Board of Equalization, we'll be able to, I'll be able to work with the auditors so that we can generate the rates to bring it forth to the board for approval. Other than that, I also spoke with St. Louis County as it relates to the sewer lateral fee ordinance, which had not changed, to provide the fees for 2020, in addition to any other property tax fees, which was due in August. With that being said, that will conclude my report. Does anyone have any questions?
Alderwoman Reed.
Thanks, Mayor. When I first got on this board, one of the issues of my concern before actually getting on the board was that there was no transparency, that the community was not getting the reports, the financials of the city, seeing the numbers, the black and white numbers, not hearing words, things that they could see for themselves. And now this is the second month that not the citizens are not getting the reports, but we as the board are not getting the reports. I understand that there was a crash, but that's been 2 months ago. So how long or what due date have you, the mayor, given the city treasurer to have the reports brought up to date? Because at this point, the last reports that we asked for as a board was still June reports. And those were missing, I think, half of the information or something. So it wasn't, complete. So that is a concern that I have, that it's taking a long time for us to get these numbers back keyed in. Is there not a reason for us to have like something outsourced to help with getting these things keyed back in quicker than what we're doing? If we have auditors here now, how are they auditing our books from last year if we don't have complete documents? So we pay for their time. So the longer they're here to audit our 1920 books, the more we pay, obviously. And now we're into a new fiscal year with new software, and we still don't even have financials for this year, for the 2021. So that is my concern, that I don't know what kind of deadline date you've given the city treasurer as being the person he reports to.
Patrick, did you have a response to that?
Yes, so as it relates to the financials for last
I'm sorry, wait a minute, city treasurer. Mayor, you are his manager. So a person can't give themselves a deadline on when they're gonna have this done.
I wasn't going to provide information on a deadline. I was just going to.
I'm sorry, city treasurer. I was asking the mayor that.
Financial reports on the 24th of August for June. That was all as it relates to that question. I mean, the 24th of August, I sent the updated financial reports to the mayor and the audit persons. So as it relates to the closing of last year, that was already provided last month. As far as the deadline is concerned, I'll let the mayor answer that.
Now, what deadline? Now, you tell us when you can have the report ready, because I don't do the report.
So the challenge that we are currently having in the finance department, just being frank, is only one person that does both accounts payable, accounts receivables. Because the financial system isn't directly connected to the bank account, it would be one thing if we could just directly download transactions and then reconcile them between records. However, the system just wasn't set up in that manner. And that technology was just not there. That was the reason for the transition to the cloud-based solution as a backup for disaster recovery in situations like these where, and I've spoken to IT companies that have seen these types of issues in the past, and they've stated that if entities operate under the same framework and they don't have that same level of backup, this is not that far off of a common issue for one to have to enter everything. In addition to that, you're faced with open enrollment period, which there's the same person that does the accounting, is the same person that's the point of contact. You have the payroll, you have the same person. So ultimately, if there's a decision to be made, if there's additional support that's needed in the finance department, I'd say that would be a recommendation that would be needed. However, when it comes to managing both daily activities and rework, this is a bit of a big disaster when it comes to rekeying information that was individually posted.
So Mayor, what I'm hearing is everything all of the work is put up on one finance clerk. So I'm wondering, how is the city treasurer actually supporting her in doing finance duties? Because it wasn't one person's fault or any person's fault for the crash, but I believe all hands should be on deck to help correct the solution, get us back on board. I mean, knowing that, I'm sorry, city treasurer, our last city treasurer was the person that went out and looked for our insurance, that brokered with the brokerage firm to make sure our insurance for the employees was negotiated properly. City treasurer this year did not do that. So from my understanding is that the chief of police did that when that was not his job to be doing. That was previously the city treasurer, Bill Crinn, did that before. So it seems like there's a lot of overlapping of work, kind of. We only have one finance clerk, one person, and there is no way she could do all of this by herself and get it up, get it back on point. It's impossible.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I agree with what you're saying. So when it comes to all hands being on deck, I can't directly speak to the role of the prior administration. However, I cannot say that I'm aware or familiar with the environment in which that administration worked, and I'm sure that this is a different environment. However, when it comes to managing the bank accounts, there's a total of 7 bank accounts managed by the city. The finance clerk primarily manages the general fund account, which is one account, but it has majority of the activity. Myself, I manage and reconcile all accounts, in addition to booking and approving transactions for all 6 of the other accounts. So for the sake of audit protocol and proper procedures and a segregation of duties, it's not appropriate from an accounting perspective for one person to enter every transaction without there being some type of checks and balances. So from my standpoint, if I can enter transactions, and because of my level of expertise, the time frame to do so may be shorter, or to properly review could be longer, as opposed to someone else in a different position who's also managing other daily activities. That can be a challenge to push them forward in the midst of managing operations for day-to-day activities. So from that regard, all hands have been on deck, but all hands don't have expertise in finance and accounting. So, and everyone's not there full time as well. So when it comes to the reconciliations now, at the prior meeting, I explained that my goal is not to provide any inaccurate information to the city. So though there are 6 accounts that may be reconciled, I have no intention on saying, for the sake of questioning, especially when if it comes to individuals outside or questions or anything like that, to push forward information that will be inaccurate, that will be changing. My goal is to provide the most accurate information for the city to make the best economic decision. So while we have a situation that requires someone who may not be at this level of expertise trying to recalculate, redo, and re-reconcile, we also have myself in place trying to provide that assistance from a level of training, supervision, and things of that nature to make sure that we don't have inaccurate information entered that will ultimately be audited, and we ultimately end up in the same place that we've been in previous administrations based off conversations I've had with prior audits and auditors, of having multiple double-digit audit findings on our financial reports on the basis of a lack of accounting understanding and proper posting. So that's not the goal of this myself, without regard to what was occurring with the prior administration. So I know tasks may be shared, but from an accounting perspective, that has been my goal.
Alderwoman Elliott.
Yes, I just had a inquiry about accounts payable. Do we know if Lori ever joined the call or not, Mayor?
I don't believe so, no.
Okay. Treasurer Howard, we've been discussing the whole notion of the loss of credit. Are you familiar with that conversation about loss of credit? Meaning, I'm thinking that means that when department heads want to make purchase, they can't do purchase orders because of the loss of credit. Are you familiar with that whole discussion and what Chief had shared before?
Yes.
Okay. Well, we have a committee that we formed in order to investigate, and we were told by the finance clerk that there was no loss of credit. So it's kind of concerning if it actually is, but we're told that it's not. So is there any way that you can investigate that for us on behalf of the accounts payable committee that's trying to find out what the problem is with that? Is there any way that you can assist in navigating that for us to get us what we need?
Are there specific vendors that there were?
Yeah, so that's what we're trying to figure out. Who are the vendors? Like, so I don't know if we already currently have a list of vendors, and so my question would have been, you know, did we get notified before we lost the credit? You know, how did this happen if we have some same party still in place and then only a change in administration? So
Yeah.
she's not here to answer that.
Right. So I recall the conversation. I was on the call when that conversation was had. I wasn't aware of any vendors specifically. I can ask the finance clerk to see if which ones she heard that from directly.
Well, Chief was the one that said it was about 6 between the police department and the building department or so forth. So if we start there, then we can figure out maybe the other ones. But to say that it's not after we have the chief to indicate that that's the case was, you know, kind of concerning. But you can follow up because I know we need to move on with the agenda. I did have a fiscal management question. One of the alderpersons questioned my inquiry about items being purchased. So the Youth Commission purchased gift cards and helmets that they have in their possession. And my understanding is that that can be a potential audit concern because it's not in the possession of the city. So I just want to know from your expertise and with us having an audit coming up, you know, what is your understanding of how those things should be handled? Should we maintain them until they actually use them? Is it okay for them to hold on to them? You know, what is the process? Because I know gift cards will be considered a form of money, and then the helmets would be, we spent money for them, and there is storage. I talked to the police chief, there are storage for that, but I just want to hear your expertise around that from an accounting standpoint.
So from my conversation with the auditors related to gift cards and how they should be held, there should be a count of each of the gift cards. They should be in the possession of the city. It was my impression that items like that could be managed through the worksheet that I provided to the city clerk, where each gift card could be marked and could be accounted for when they were provided out. That way, there was something in writing just as a transaction list to be used as a resource when the audit is being conducted.
Okay, so should it be in the possession of the city clerk until that activity actually happens?
My recommendation that it should be.
Okay.
Alderwoman West.
Thank you, Mayor.
I mean, Carol, one of them.
It's West this time. So my question, Mr. Treasurer, is there are questions about monies being donated to alder persons. When money is donated for whatever purpose to various alder people.
Are you all telling in votes?
Excuse me? should that money be turned over to the city?
So you're saying if monies are provided, is that related to events and such?
I have no idea. Let me use myself as an example. So there are people who use the pool who found out I had donated money for a grant writer. And they wanted to give me money to go, you know, to put towards that. And I told them I could not accept any money and that I would talk to you to see if
You're fading out on us.
if they could donate to, can you hear me better?
Yes.
Okay, if they could donate money to maybe the rec center itself and have that money put in an account to be used specifically for rec center improvements. So are you following me?
Right, right.
Because I know that, so at last meeting, one of the older people wanted to accept donations for her ward to have some work done. And I don't think that's legal. And I think if monies are donated, that they should be given directly over to the city so that there can be some accountability.
Yes, yes. So my recommendation is that all monies donated for any specific project should be provided directly to the city clerk, and they can be deposited and accounted for in the other miscellaneous revenue section of the budget. Any activities that are to be expensed as it relates to ward activity, if it had not been budgeted for, it should be within those budget parameters so that we don't entangle, because I think we talked about this relating to specific events as well, so that we don't confuse budget expenses with revenue. That way we can keep those things separated so that there are no questions going forward. And I think that that too can be answered using the transaction document I provided in the city offices and the city clerk's office.
Okay, thank you.
Alderwoman Tatman.
Yes, sir. I would like to address Mr. Treasurer. You gave a synopsis or an answer to the credit issue. Mr. Chair, if I could ask if the chief is still on, because I remember the chief is the one who brought up that issue. And if he's still on, if he could explain the process of what happened, that way we can have a clear indication on what happened and the processes that may or may not have happened.
Chief, are you still here?
Yes, sir. Do you want me to explain that?
Yes, I would, because I remember in the meeting, you're the one who brought that issue up. So I didn't want to leave it hanging open so the citizens can understand what happened. And I think some of my colleagues may still have some questions as to what happened with the credit issue.
Sure, absolutely. So when I'm referring to credit, to make sure everybody understands, because credit can mean a few different things. We have vendors that we purchase things on accounts. So for example, when the street department goes to Lowe's and they make a purchase, many of these purchases are well under $500. It's put on our account at Lowe's. So the purchase is made on credit. And if this is the way I believe it works, throughout, let's say, a given month, as purchases are made and it gets accrued, and it usually will go over $500 at some point. The vendor, such as Lowe's, will bill the city probably net 30, meaning payment is due within 30 days to maintain the ability to purchase things on that account through credit. So the the problems that we were having when I was discussing this with the street department, and I can't remember all the vendors. Some bills have been paid, so we've gotten our account rights back, but it was like Lowe's, it was Napa one time. There was I believe a nursery that we worked with that we were having issues, and all of these purchases for the most part are under $500. So I didn't understand why those vendors weren't being paid. That was the issue. That's why I brought it up, because it was starting to interfere with the operations day-to-day of the city business.
All right, thank you. I don't see any hands up.
I do think that there was, I think the mayor answered that at the last meeting related to the approval of 500 and the timely payment of those. That may be the reason for that activity, but I still have to follow up on that.
Okay. Thank you for your report. Unfinished business, approval of standing committee appointments. All right, no report on that. Approval of signing, I beg your pardon?
I'm sorry, Mayor. I was looking for Alderman Christian to facilitate. He was kind of the person who brought forth that the standing committees. I didn't know if he still wanted to facilitate that process or not. And that was, we appointed some members, and then we still had members that needed to be appointed to the committees for there to be a representative from each ward.
I can speak for a woman, I guess.
Go right.
Okay. Oh, we had created in the standing order some standing committees for the Board of Aldermen to maybe try to get some work done prior to a meeting so that we can all be in consensus and things, or to have the information ready and at hand. One was the Ways and Means Committee, which you wanted me to work on.
Mm-hmm.
And that was in the standing order already. And I believe there were 3 people that got appointed to it. I fell off that meeting because of reception and things that night. We had Ways and Means, we had Personnel and Public Works, and then also Legislative, which, after thinking about it, Legislative we may not need, because any type of proposed legislation would probably fall into one of the other types of things. I just lost everything. I don't know what's going on. I think I don't know what happened.
We can hear you.
Can you hear me? Because I don't see anything anymore. I just lost all of Zoom.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. The legislative part could probably go away. We could probably get rid of that one in the standing orders. And as issues came through, most of them would probably either fall under one of the internal committees of the board or one of the citizen committees that are already established by ordinances in the city code. If anyone wants to do it that way, I'm fine with that. I know I'm the one that brought that up and everything. But that's what I would have on that.
All right, thank you.
Okay. At this time, I would like to make a motion.
I'm sorry, Alderwoman Elliott, there's a hand
I'm
up.
sorry.
There's a hand up. Alderwoman.
Okay, go ahead.
My name on there.
That's why I got all.
Alderwoman Tatman.
I'm sorry. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to ask my colleague a question. For these standing committees, I know that with our two different branches of government, we have the administrative branch, the governmental branch, and then the legislative branch. I know that most of these that are on the agenda thus far aren't legally binding because it takes an ordinance to do that. Is there a reason why we're not putting these under an ordinance where they are legally binding? Because other than that, they're just expressions of opinions with no legal weight. And so is there a reason why we're using just approval of creating these committees opposed to making them a part of our governmental process? And that's my colleague in the third ward.
These were committees to be placed into the standing orders, which are rules which govern the Board of Aldermen, which we can create our own rules. And those were committees that were not citizen committees. So they were created as internal committees, which the board could do because we can create our own rules on how we operate our board. It's not appointed by the mayor. It's internal of the board. However, setting in policies of how the board should operate and everything, which we created in the standing orders previously. We can make them into ordinances and make them citizen commissions if anyone wants to do that, but we have a hard enough time trying to fill the boards that we have at the moment. So adding more boards for citizen committees, I don't know if that's right now something we should do if we don't get enough citizen participation on the boards that we do have.
I'm sorry. Let me try to re-clarify. To my colleague, I wasn't stating for them to be committees for citizens. I was just stating that as the legislative branch, our responsibility is to legislate and to make sure that the ordinance that we have in place are adhered to and to create new ones. So I'm saying that these committees more or less are just, expressions of opinions. There's no legal binding weight to the work that can be done. It has no legal ramifications or legal weight, whereas an ordinance is binding, which means these committees have the legal right to perform the duties that are equated to those committees, whereas just forming committees with no guidelines, no legal weight to them, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying making them committee. I'm saying as far as forming them under this expression of opinions opposed to an ordinance.
Well, I tried to make them, and the one was one the mayor wanted made. So if they're not good enough, we voted them in already. As far as I know, I'll defer, and you can take over, and you can make all the committees then that we need.
No, I don't want to. I'm sorry to my colleague. No, that's not what I'm wanting to do. I have enough work. I was just asking the question as to why we're just making these committees an expression of opinions opposed to making them ordinance, which has the legal weight of the law. That's all. No, I don't want to do the work. Thank you.
Because the rules of the Board of Aldermen, the standing orders don't need an ordinance. They're rules of us 8, or whoever 8 are on the board at one given time. It's rules for us so that we're able to discuss and get these things done. No different than having a pre-meeting like we used to have, where we could discuss things first, get a consensus, and say, okay, this is what we would like to do. Well, I may still vote no. Well, I'm going to vote yes, but we had a consensus. We didn't have to prolong a meeting so long about this. I don't know. Maybe I'm not able to explain it very well.
No,
sorry.
That's fine. Thank you to my colleague. I just wanted to stress the fact that they have no legal precedent, and an ordinance would make them have weight and coverage under the law, whereas other than that, they're just expression of opinion. That's all. Thank you to my colleague. thank you for.
Our votes are just an expression of ourselves.
Yes, thank you.
Alderwoman Elliott?
I have nothing further. I have nothing further, Mayor.
All right, thank you.
Yes, Mayor, I just wanted, while we're on this topic, to make a motion to eliminate the legislative committee, and then on the next agenda, we will properly address the other commissions. So I move to remove the legislative standing committee.
Christian will second.
All right.
Are there any further discussion?
Mayor, I'll raise my hand.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I just want to make the comment that I'm going to abstain from the votes because the standing committees, and they're not legal. They're just states of opinions. So, you know, I'm just not voting on those, or I abstain from them because they have no way, because based on our ordinance, you have to appoint individuals from that committee. But I did understand what Jim was saying. But I mean, it's just no point in the things that are being put forth. That was just my comment for the record.
Alderwoman West?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. It's Alderman Carroll that's going to speak. That's fine. How we came to the committees is when we did the Robert's Rules of Order training. The trainer informed us that we were doing a lot of committee work during the meetings, and that's what was prolonging, in his view, our meetings. And part of his suggestion was that we form these committees and do the work in the committees. And when the committees have finished whatever bill that they were working on, that they would bring it to the board, and then the board would just vote on it and not do the actual work. So that's how the standing committees came into being. And also in our ordinance, it says that we our meetings adhere to Robert's Rules of Order, and part of Robert's Rules of Order is the formation of standing committees. And as I said, they're not legally binding. It's actually just to do the work of the board and then present the product to the board to be actually voting upon.
Any further comment? Then, Madam Clerk, where are we in this?
Alderwoman Avant-Elliott made a motion to remove the legislation standing committee, and it was seconded by Alderman Christian. So you want a roll call? Or?
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
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 All opposed? Ayes have it. So the communication, the approval of signing of board approved notices and communication, is that still need action?
Yes,
Then
sir.
doing that.
Yes. Can
All
I
right.
proceed?
Alderwoman Elliott?
Okay. All right. So I spoke with attorney concerning board approved items that we approve and they do not get signed, so we can properly address it. So one of the recommendations is for whoever is the presiding chair at the time, or the president of the alderman board, could approve those notifications and actions in the absence of the mayor, or when non-compliance is a concern. So I move for the board to approve the presiding chair or president of the alderman board to approve notifications and the actions approved by the board in the absence of the mayor, or when non-compliance is a concern.
Just one question. Did you, as acting mayor, did you vote on that?
Vote on what?
Whatever action that was taken.
What
are you referring to?
If we get a second, we can debate, and you can step down as the chair and I can proceed.
Well, I'm not gonna step down as the chair.
Okay.
Alderwoman Tatman. Alderwoman Tatman.
I'm sorry, I'll leave my head down until debate time.
Okay. Alderwoman West Carroll.
It's Alderman Carroll. I second.
Okay, I'm sorry, Mayor.
Yes.
Oh, she just did it. I was about to ask the Alderwoman to put it in the chat so I could see where we are. I got it.
All right, good. Are there any further discussion? Alderwoman Tatman.
Yes, so for clarification, to my minor colleague in Ward 4, could you clarify what is the purpose of this action and why it's needed and how it was formed, came to this formulation, please? Mr. Chair. That was to my minor colleague, Mr. Chair, in Ward 4.
Can you please clarify what minor means?
You're the second person in the ward. The senior person is Alderwoman Dales.
Oh, okay. Please don't refer me as that. Thank you.
I'll use my verbiage. You don't have to answer if you don't want.
Okay. What's the question again?
I was asking a minor colleague in Ward 4 if she could clarify the purpose for this action and what was the dialogue behind the formulation of it.
Alderwoman Elliott, could you respond to the inquiry? You're not responding to the inquiry?
We're in debate, so we're in debate at this point.
That's my debate.
Yeah, you have to say if you're in opposition, if you're in opposition of it, or if you're a proponent of it.
Was to ask you what was the purpose for clarification of the formulation of this action and why it was formulated and what is the need behind it. It's part of my debate.
Alderman Thomas, apparently she's not going to answer the question. I'll respond to it anyway. Alderman Thomas.
Yes, sir. I was going to ask Alderperson Elliott the reasoning behind, because I guess I'm not understanding why we need approval when we have a chair that approves.
Okay. All right, so apparently she's not going to respond to any inquiries. So, all right, then there's
Mayor, I can share for debate. I can share for debate the significance of this for debate purposes, not inquiry. The board has approved some items that once the board meeting is over, is not implemented. I'm gonna give you an example of a board approved item. We approved for to terminate the attorney services, and it was a notice that goes with that termination that we voted on, and it was not signed and provided accordingly. That becomes a compliance issue when the board approves something and then afterwards it's not fulfilled. So if it's something that the person does not want to sign because they were not the presiding chair, then it will be appropriate for the presiding chair to take care of that. No differently than when you did not want to sit on the board for a meeting that you didn't attend. You asked for me to serve as the chair for the minutes to be approved, which I didn't really understand until I asked the attorney that you didn't want to be a part of it. So you just stepped down as the chair and asked me to get in the chair seat. So in the event that we approve something and at a meeting that you're not chairing, then that chairperson should be responsible for signing off on it if there's non-compliance on your part, which there should never be non-compliance when you're on the implementation side of whatever the board has approved.
Okay. All right. Some of those meetings were illegal meetings. They did not have 24-hour notice for the ordinance. And so meetings like that should not, well, they just don't carry the weight as ordinance. All right. Any further discussion?
Yes, sir. My hand is still up, Mr. Chair.
Go right ahead.
Just for debate and statement, I'm concerned that actions are being taken that's out of the duties and responsibility of the legislative board. In order to remove legal counsel takes a 2/3 vote. The legislative body has no duties or responsibility to do any administration, appointees, or removal without the approval of 2/3 votes. So my concern is the actions that are done in these meetings that have been illegal, that has not given the citizen 24-hour notice, that those actions are then placed as being valid and then to be acted upon. As according to state statute, we have a mayor and we have a board president. The board president has no authority other than in the absence, which is correct, of the mayor, and only then, and not to usurp that as to put in a standing order that would give the board chair authority that usurps that of 2/3 votes and the mayor.
Alderman Thomas.
I lower my hand.
I beg your pardon?
No, I don't have a comment.
Okay then. Alderwoman, Alderwoman West.
Thank you. I will address just the debate part.
We can't hear you too good. Yeah.
So I will just address the debate part of a meeting. Whenever there's a debate and the mayor wants to join in the debate, then the mayor must relinquish his chair while he engages in the debate. So, you know, that's not being adhered to. And I further want to state on this illegal meeting, you all got the term from one of our citizens in Ward 1. It has not been determined that that meeting was illegal. I'm sick and tired of hearing that word. In addition, there were the same people at that meeting that you all call illegal that there has been at every meeting. So there, even though 24 hours notice was not given, the reason it was not given is because you chose to take items off the agenda that the majority of the board felt needed to be discussed. So all of that is being overlooked. You know, you arbitrarily take things off for certain people and allow others on the board to put whatever they want to, discuss whatever they want to, and the public needs to be aware of that. This person in Ward 1 has encouraged you to call us the Gang of Five. I have not been in a gang since I was 12 years old. And if I were today, people would know it. But you know, this thing has to be fair. I don't call about you on. You ain't in church. But anyway, you need to be fair in your assessment. And again, anytime you wish to engage in debate, you must remove yourself from the chair. I learned that when I was president of CWA Local 6383. And that's all I have to say.
Well, most of what you said was not true. But this is to Alderwoman Elliott. When you know the mayor does not have a vote, don't you? And so when you're acting as mayor, you don't have a vote. Are there any further discussion? So let's move on to the next item because this was a long discussion here. I don't really know. Madam Clerk, wait. Beg pardon?
Oh,
Where are we? Do we have a motion on the floor?
we have a motion on the floor.
Yes, Mayor, we do.
What is it? What you stated, please.
Yes, Alderwoman Avant-Elliott moved for the board to approve the presiding chair or president of the alderman to approve notifications and actions approved by the board in the absence of the mayor or when the non-compliance is a concern. And it was seconded by Alderman Carroll.
Roll call vote.
Did you say roll call vote, Mayor?
Yes.
Okay. Alderwoman,
Before you do that, all the people that are on tonight need to show your face. I see your names, but no face. That is inappropriate to be on a meeting and with no face. Call the roll, please.
okay. Alderwoman Reed,
Yes.
Alderman Carroll,
Yes.
Alderwoman West,
Yes.
Alderwoman Dales,
Absolutely no, we already have an ordinance in place.
Alderwoman Avant-Elliott,
Yes.
Alderman Thomas,
No.
Alderman Christian,
Yes.
and Alderwoman Tapman.
No. We'll abide by state statute.
Mayor, we have 5 yes and 3 no's.
All right, let the record show that the mayor does not agree with this motion. Let the record show that I'm in protest of this action. All right, approval of city attorney substitute. Just hold on 1 second here. I don't see a hand up.
Alderwoman Avant-Elliott's hand is up if you can't see it.
I don't see it.
It's up.
Okay, I see it now. Alderman Elliott.
I move for Helman Starr to serve as the substitute attorney in the absence of Susan McFarland.
Well, I object to that because you cannot, it is not your privilege as board president to hire attorneys. That is the mayor's prerogative, and we're sticking with the attorney that we have. So approval of bids for burials.
That was not my motion. That was not my motion.
What is your motion? Would you repeat your motion, please?
It's in the chat.
Well,
Can you
chat
see
it out to me. You said you move for Helmut Starr to serve as the substitute attorney in the absence of Susan McFarland.
Correct.
That is improper, and I'm not receiving that motion at all. You don't decide who the attorney is for this board.
The board does. That's why it's a motion.
No,
They do not.
No, we don't.
The board does not decide that without the mayor's recommendation.
Which ordinance is that? Alderwoman Reed seconds.
I don't recognize the motion, so there's no need for a second. Approval of bids for burials.
You're still on the motion. There was a second. Do you need the attorney to remind you?
You can have 13 seconds, but as long as the motion is not recognized, you don't have anything.
You recognize me on the floor. You can't dismiss the motion, Mayor. We've already, the attorney already expressed it last time. Do you need her to share that again?
I'm not going to argue about it either.
Well, attorney, could you please express to him the same thing you did last meeting about a second on the floor and the need to proceed with a vote? Attorney White Coleman.
What I stated was that once the maker of the motion has made the motion and it's been seconded, then the protocol would be for there to be a vote.
If the motion has not been recognized by the chair, it is not a motion.
You recognize people, not the motion. So you recognize me for the topic that's on the agenda, Mayor. So we're at the vote.
No, we're not either.
We didn't ever call for discussion or debate.
I mean, most of what you're doing is illegal, and I'm not going to recognize these illegal actions.
Mayor, this is Dorothy. May I just speak to what your ordinances state? Specifically, section 2-86 says that the mayor, with the consent and approval of the majority of the members of the Board of Aldermen, shall appoint a city attorney who shall be licensed to practice law in the state of Missouri and the federal courts thereof. That's what your ordinance states. Now, state statute does indicate that an appointed official can be removed at will, but without the consent of the mayor, it takes a 2/3 vote. And for this board, there would be 6.
And for clarification, this is not a vote of the city attorney. This is concerning the substitute that you asked at the meeting on the 12th. If Susan McFarland could not come, who would be her substitute? So this is the motion to indicate a substitute.
Mayor, may I respond to that?
Yes, please.
Pursuant to ordinance number 2563, this city appointed Dorothy White Coleman as the city attorney. Specifically in section 6 of that contract, it references a substitute attorney. It says in the event Dorothy White Coleman cannot attend a meeting of the board or other board or commissions, then that Dorothy White Coleman should send a substitute attorney from her law firm at no expense to the board. That's what the contract states.
Thank you very much.
I have not indicated I could not attend any meeting.
Thank you for that clarification.
Thank you.
All right, let's move on.
We have a second on the floor, Mayor.
You don't have a recognized motion, so you don't have anything on the floor. Approval of bids for burials.
Point of order, Mayor. We have a second on the table and you're skipping the discussion of approval of a consultant attorney as well. So right now, that would be a ordinance violation if you're concerned about ordinances to not recognize the process of us voting on that. If people choose not to vote for it, then that will be fine, but there's a second on the table.
All right. Well, you, Alderman Thomas.
Yes, I would like to amend, oh, what happened? I would like to amend the motion from Alderwoman Elliott to state that we will continue, we will not use Helmut Starr as our substitute attorney and continue with the contract as read by Attorney Coleman. As soon as I find the chat, I'm gonna put it in there.
Mayor, I'll second that. We continue on with the ordinance as it stands, as the attorney has stated. We already have the ordinance on the books. I will second that so we can move on.
Are there any further discussion? Roll call.
Mayor,
Okay.
could the alderman put it in the chat so we can see it? So we can see what we're voting on?
I'm typing it now.
I have a point of order.
What's your point
It's
of order?
Alderwoman West. So the motion by Alderwoman Avant-Elliott was not recognized. So there cannot be an amendment. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So we continue on with the agenda then.
Yeah. Okay. You're right. We continue on with the agenda. That was the substitute attorney. So we'll move to discussion of approval of consultant attorney. And what's that about? I'll get to you in a second. Alderman Thomas, your hand is still up.
No, sir. I'm taking it down.
Alderwoman Elliott, your hand's up.
I move for Helmut Starr to serve as the I move for Helmut Starr to serve as the Board of Aldermen's consultant attorney for matters to be determined via ordinance.
Is that in the chat, Alderwoman?
It will be.
Okay.
Alderman West, Alderman Carroll. Alderman Carroll.
I second.
All right. We move into discussion. Alderwoman Tatman.
I want to state again, I am concerned, and I will continue to use the word, the legality of the actions of my colleagues. We have a contract and we have an ordinance that states we have an attorney, and the only way the attorney can be removed is by 2/3 votes without the approval of the mayor. So I'm concerned that because we have a majority who can continue to supply actions that are even without outside our own perimeter of ordinances we have in place because they may have been some grievances. I'm just concerned that we are continuing to subject our citizens to the dysfunction that we currently keep displaying, to usurp state statutes, to
Okay,
I think she froze. She froze, Mayor.
I can see, yes.
create a blueprint that we want for ourselves.
Yeah, you froze up on us and at the end there.
Okay, I'm just saying that I'm concerned that we continue to display dysfunction and we adhere to ordinances and laws when they're applicable to what we want. But when we are unsatisfied or may have some personal grievances, we use the action of vote to try to usurp state statutes, sunshine laws, and ordinance. I just wanted that on the record because I am grievously concerned. And so that we know that even though these actions may pass, they have no legal weight and they're not binding because they are usurping state statute and ordinance, which is unlawful. Thank you.
Alderwoman Carroll or West?
I'd like to move to amend the motion and strike the words via ordinance and add by the majority of the board.
Alderwoman Dales? Alderwoman Dale.
For the record, I would like to state that the ordinances stand. They are legal binding ordinances, which are the law of the city. They cannot be overruled by a motion or anything else. The ordinances have to be changed. And I want that for the record because it just can't happen. And it's really embarrassing that we continue to waste the citizens' time when you know that it's wrong. And the reach for power is just getting out of hand. There are so many things that we can be doing to serve the people. So I want that for the record, instead of trying to do things that are illegal in an open meeting. And I want that for the record.
Thank you. Alderwoman Reed.
I second the motion to amend and strike the word ordinance and add by majority of the board.
Any further discussion? Roll
Yes.
call vote.
A further discussion, Mayor.
I asked were there any further discussion.
My hand was up.
All righty.
The reason why I indicated via ordinance, because all of our consulting attorneys were done by ordinance, and of course the ordinances have to be by majority anyway. So when I said determined by ordinance, we have to indicate what matters we want that consultant to assist us with by ordinance and then vote on it. So I didn't use the word majority because this is actually requesting that we go through the process of drafting the ordinance with what we want that consultant attorney to do, and then the board has to approve it, just for clarification on the motion that I made. So I would like to amend a motion from Alderman Carroll and maintain via ordinance and add with the approval of 2/3 of the board.
Alderwoman Dales.
Mayor, I'm sorry I didn't have my hand up, but I object to the motion that Alderwoman Avant-Elliott just state. Again, we have the ordinance in place and it cannot be override. Roll.
What is the ordinance you're referring to?
Alderwoman Avant-Elliott, we can move on.
Okay. What, Mayor, do you know of an ordinance that she's referring to?
No, do you know?
There is not one. That's why I was asking.
That's not a motion. I mean, an ordinance for what? What are you talking about? I'm not sure what you're talking about anymore.
So we are making a motion to hire a consultant attorney that we can do, and we have done, and we have ordinances where we hire consultant attorneys, and she indicated that we did not have that it was a violation of ordinance, and I was wondering what ordinance that was she was referring to, and if you knew what ordinance she was referring to, because it didn't exist.
Mayor, I can respond.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
To my knowledge, I am not aware of an ordinance, and I apologize for saying that. However, the ordinance that sits is only the mayor of the city of Bellefontaine neighbors can appoint any legal services. And if the board wants to do that, they need to do it by ordinance, just like everything else, for it to become law. I hope I made myself crystal clear.
Alderwoman Tatman.
Yes, and so to my minor colleague,
It's a point of order, Mayor. We haven't gotten a second for us to engage in debate on the amendment.
And excuse me, I was talking, so it would have been proper to say excuse me.
I was directing that to the mayor. That's the point of order. It's not directed to an alderperson.
Then the motion dies for the lack of a second, so let's move on.
The second wasn't asked, Mayor. Alderwoman Dale started talking during the point of the second.
There's no second. There's still not a second, so the motion dies for the lack of a second.
Or you allowing for a second so that people can actually give a second if they choose to?
I'm moving this agenda forward.
Thank you.
Approval of bids for burials.
Excuse me, Mayor.
Thank
In order, there's two more motions that we need to take care of. I have my amendment that we need to vote on, and then we have to go and vote on the original motion. So I made the motion to amend Alderwoman Avant-Elliott's motion and strike the words via ordinance and add by the majority of the board, and that was seconded by Alderwoman Reed. So we need to, I believe it's proper to vote on that.
All right, let me see here. I don't see any hands up, so all in favor say aye.
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 Opposers, nay.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Can we have a roll call vote?
Roll call.
Okay. Alderwoman Tapman,
No.
Alderman Carroll,
Yes.
Alderman Christian,
Yes.
Alderwoman Avant-Elliott,
Yes.
Alderwoman Dales,
Absolutely no. It has to be an ordinance for this.
Alderman Thomas,
No.
Alderwoman Reed,
Yes.
Alderwoman West.
Absolutely, yes.
You have 5 yes and 3 no's.
I'm not sure that Alderwoman Reed voted because I don't see her face. I'm not even sure she's on the meeting. All right, proceed with the next action.
Point of order, Mayor. Then now we need to go back and vote on the original motion as amended then.
Whose motion is that?
That's Alderwoman Avant-Elliott's, that she moved for Helmut Star to serve as the Board of Aldermen's consulting attorneys for matters to be determined, and then we amended it via majority of the board.
No, she's,
Oh, Alderman Christian, just a point of clarification. He did not allow for a second. And so we will follow the proper process to it being an ordinance anyway. So we can go from there. We don't have to go back because yours superseded mine after you amended it and it passed.
Approval of bids for burials.
Well, point of order, are we going to vote on the motion as amended, or?
What she just said, we voted on it.
We voted
What
on
happens when you don't know what you're doing?
We voted on the amendment. Now we have to vote on the motion as amended.
Oh, okay. You can state that then.
well,
I already did. So the amended motion that we're now voting on would be for Helmut Star, hold on, let me find her motion. For Helmut Star to serve as the Board of Alderpersons consulting attorney for matters to be determined by the majority of the Board of Alderpersons. So that's the motion before us right now that we need to vote on.
Oh, second.
Roll call
Wait a
vote.
minute. Okay. Alderwoman West,
we're not having a discussion on this.
It's already been approved. It's just he's doing the final.
Let's just go ahead and have a roll call vote so we can.
Okay.
Alderwoman West,
Yes.
Alderwoman Reed,
Yes.
Alderwoman Tapman,
No.
Alderwoman Dales,
No.
Alderwoman Avant-Elliott,
Yes.
Alderman Christian,
Yes.
Alderman Thomas,
No.
Alderman Carroll.
Yeah.
5 yes and 3 no's.
All right.
Mayor.
Let the record show that I protest that that motion passes as
You
well.
can't do that.
If you can't show your face, if you cannot show your face at this meeting, I can protest what I want to. Alderwoman Dales, your hand is up. Approval of bids approval of bids for burials.
Mayor, my hand is up now.
Okay, proceed, please.
Michael Weesey sent the board a letter. To my knowledge, I did ask him to get some bids. And to my knowledge, I didn't know that there was, and I was surprised when this was put on the agenda because the money that is approved is multiple things, and I think he stated those things in his letter. So I don't know anything about any bids until he submits them to the city. And that's my comment on that.
So no, there's no action on this?
Not to my knowledge. I wasn't aware of any bids.
Okay then. So let's move into new business. Discussion of approval of town hall meeting. Alderwoman Dales.
The discussion of the town hall meeting is for, I mean, it's just getting ridiculous. We've had town hall meetings. We've never had to have a discussion and approval to have a town hall meeting again. This is a waste of time of the citizens. It just appears that some individuals who put this together don't have anything to do. The town hall meeting is for our citizens. Why would not we have a town hall meeting? There should be no discussion and no approval. This is for our citizens. It just appears that I'm baffled at some of the things that's on this agenda. So we've always had a town hall meeting. We will continue to have a town hall meeting even after April of 22, and we won't have to vote on it. It's just crazy. That's my comment on that mess.
Alderwoman Elliott.
Mayor, I move to cancel the board meeting that's regularly scheduled for September the 17th.
Well, I got to tell you, the town hall meeting, I set the town hall meeting and I'm not.
Mayor, just a point of clarification, I'm canceling the board meeting. What you do for the town hall meeting, I'm canceling the board meeting for that day. We normally meet before the town hall and we do have it on the agenda discussed, is in all our minutes. So instead of us having a regular board meeting, that's being canceled, which is normally done through this process. I did not say anything about a town hall meeting. I am canceling the regularly scheduled board meeting. So whatever can take place on that day has nothing to do with us having to have a meeting and do minutes and all of that.
Alderwoman Dales.
Mayor, normally we have a meeting prior to the meeting, and that is to cover bills or anything that may come up between now and then. I think it's important for us to always take care of city business. We want to make sure that our bills are paid on time, and it will be time for over 500 during that time for us to pay the bills so we can meet. We normally meet for maybe 15 minutes just to pay the bills. So I make a motion that we continue on with our regular meeting to pay bills or any other pertinent information on the 17th, if that's the date of the town hall meeting.
Alderman Thomas.
I don't see either motion in the chat.
My motion is in the chat.
I see
we
it.
were waiting on a second.
Oh, okay.
To open up discussion.
Right.
Mayor, and it's also indicated in the meetings The elected official who is not the mayor cannot cancel the meeting. This is unbelievable.
It's done by vote. That's why we have a legislative process.
Oh, wow. We're gonna follow the rules. Okay.
When is,
Nobody,
Alderwoman West hand is up.
oh, I didn't see.
For the
aren't you putting some in the chat? I'm in the chat trying to find out what you're putting in there, but I guess not. Alderwoman West.
I second Alderwoman Avant-Elliott's motion.
Okay. Alderman Thomas.
Discussion, this discussion.
Yeah, it's been moved and seconded. The end of discussion.
Oh, okay. We need to have the meeting on the 17th so that we can conduct the city's business and pay the bills. We had talked about this, I believe at this last meeting or the meeting before, that we would come together and we would just take care of what needed to be taken care of. I'm trying to understand, Alderwoman Elliott, if you could help me to understand why we should cancel this meeting.
Alderwoman Elliott.
This is the first time it's on the agenda. There was no discussion about town hall as an agenda item where
it wasn't an agenda item. I didn't say it was an agenda item. I said
no,
it
but
was
I'm saying that it was not an agenda item to discuss. So we did not talk about what we wanted to do or not do. The mayor said the town hall was going to be at 7. If our board meetings is normally at 7:30, we're going to have a town hall meeting, then come back and do business. So we have it on the agenda now. We have met week after week. So that gives us a break. And if the town hall meeting is going to happen, it does not have to be a formal meeting. It can be just like the Ferguson mayor is having a town hall meeting where the mayor is having special guests to come out and facilitate. That's all it has to be. If there is some over 500s, we've had several special meetings to pay over 500s. The mayor did not indicate in the last meeting that we were having a meeting before the town hall. He said the town hall was starting at 7. So we have not had this on the agenda to discuss format. This is the first time. You can look at all other minutes that I've been on this board where it was a board discussion. But because we have met meeting week after week, this gives the board a break and a town hall meeting can take place. It has nothing to do with city business because it was not indicated that over 500 needs to be paid this week.
Alderwoman Chapman.
Yes, I'm concerned that we already potentially have a concern from my fellow colleagues about the bills being paid on time, that we can convene our regular meeting early, like we used to do, and pay the bills. We always have bills. Every 2 weeks when we meet, we have bills to pay. So I'm concerned that we put the bills off until another special meeting that we don't have to have, when we can take the opportunity before the town hall meeting, pay the bills, go into the town hall meeting, because there are going to be bills that's due. And we don't need to have any follow-up issues of things not being paid on a timely manner. So I would like to amend my colleague's motion that we meet at 6:30 to pay the bills and then go into the town hall meeting.
May I second that?
Then any further discussion?
To have a meeting at 6:30 means we're calling a special board meeting. So
does it matter what we call it? What would you like to call it, dear? I can put in here, I would like to amend the motion to have, what do you want to call it? Special board meeting? Special board meeting.
Well, Alderwoman Chapman, you could just have the regular meeting at 7, and if the mayor is okay, we can have the town hall meeting at 7:30 like we always did.
That's fine. Would you
I mean, it's
amend that
normally-
motion, or you want me to write it in, Alderwoman Reed?
I mean, that's just what we've done for the years
Well,
I've been
let's
on
do
here.
that. Yeah, let's
It's
do
normally
that.
at
So we can-
7 and you have that at 7:30. That's
Yeah,
just
so we
normally
can pay
what
our
it is.
bills. I agree. I agree.
And it's
So-
normally just anything that's an emergency.
I would like to amend the motion to have a special.
That just came out, Josh.
Okay.
Proceed,
I'd
my
like to
dear.
amend the motion to have a board meeting. I won't call it a special because it's a board meeting anyway. Have our regular board meeting. And what's that date?
September 17th.
At 7 o'clock. Alderwoman Reed, right?
Okay,
Pay the bills.
okay, I see it. Are you done?
Yes, sir.
Second it again.
Since I would like to amend, let's see, it moved from it. It doesn't jump clean on out the way here now. Let me see, let me back up. Since I would like to amend the motion to have our regular board meeting on September 17th at 7 p.m. to pay bills. And of course, the town hall meeting will start at 7:30. Is there a second? I'm sorry, let me get back to Alderwoman Dales.
I second it, and I second Alderwoman Tapman's motion.
Okay. Been moving and probably second. Are there any further discussions? Alderman Thomas. Okay, your hand down. You're on mute. Alderman Thomas, did you have, you had your hand up?
No, it was up from the last time.
All right, then. If there are no further discussion, roll call vote.
Alderwoman Tapman,
Yes.
Alderman Carroll,
No.
Alderwoman Reed,
Yes.
Alderwoman West,
Okay. No.
Alderman, what's his name? Alderman Thomas,
Yes.
Alderman Christian,
Yes.
Alderwoman Dales,
Yes.
Alderwoman Avant-Elliott.
Yes.
Okay. 6 yes and 2 no's, Mayor.
All right, the motion passes. And while we're on that note, we will have a virtual town hall meeting because the gym won't be large enough for us to practice social distancing. All right. Let's see, town hall meeting, discussion and approval of concerning use of the auditorium for innovation. Summit. Who's Alderwoman Reed?
Oh, sorry, Mayor. I need to leave the meeting now. I'm sorry. Can you have City Clerk note 903?
Yes.
I got it.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Who's discussing approval of the auditorium? Alderwoman Elliott.
Yes, this was placed on the agenda for discussion per our last discussion. I understand now, I don't know if you are saying with the town hall, there will be concerns with social distancing. Would that be a similar concern for the summit? Because we were putting this on the agenda for discussion and approval since it had not been placed there for that purposes. And so are we now saying that we're not doing a town hall because of social distancing, which is the same location of the Innovation Summit? Therefore, that is not going to be held there as well, or we do not need to talk about it on the agenda? Or all items being held in the auditorium being reconsidered because of COVID? Or because I know that the alderwoman mentioned that it would be at least 50 guests. So I was just trying to get clarification on what was being considered with the notion of COVID and in person in the auditorium, like you just said with the town hall.
Alderwoman Chapman.
Yes, I would like to answer that. I did mention on our last meeting the reason why it wasn't brought to the board for approval, because the uses of the rec center has never been brought to the board for approval. But we were going to be practicing social distancing according to the guidelines received from St. Louis County, that if we were to have the event, it would have to adhere to the 25% capacity, which our gymnasium holds 100, so it would limit us to 50 participants. We were going to adhere to the guidelines we were given for COVID, as well as presenting that COVID plan to the county.
All right. Is there any further discussion on this matter?
So is there going to be a motion for the board to approve the use of the auditorium with a COVID plan?
I think the board is informed, and that don't need to be a motion to give permission to use the auditorium for.
We indicated that during the last meeting, and Alderwoman Tapman said that she would be happy to place it on the agenda for board discussion and approval. And I quote.
Well, you can quote me on this, that we don't need permission to use the auditorium for community activities so long as nothing else is scheduled in there. Alderwoman West.
Yes, thank you. I believe since Alderwoman Tapman agreed to it, I believe she should move that she hold that summit on the date and time that she wants to have it.
And I appreciate that to my colleague, Mr. Chair, if that's okay with you.
It's fine with me, yes.
Yes.
I'm good.
And I would like to make a motion that, and I'll put it in the chat, that the auditorium be used for.
Talking about your daddy being there.
Being used for the Innovative Public Safety Crime Prevention Summit on October 3rd from 10 o'clock a.m. to 2 o'clock p.m. with the COVID plan that was put in place and given to us by St. Louis County. So I'll type all that in. Give me a few minutes.
Okay. All right. You have it in there? I don't see it.
No, not yet. My keyboard is sticking. Hold on. I see it.
I don't see it yet.
Won't send. Hold on. My keys are froze. Did it come? Keep hitting enter, it won't come. Is it over?
Just make the motion, and it's been recorded anyway, so make the motion.
Okay, I still want. I make them, hold on.
Okay,
It's here now.
yeah. See it now.
I make a motion to hold the summit in the auditorium on October 3rd from 10 o'clock a.m. to 2 o'clock p.m. with approval of COVID-19 plan.
Is there a second? Alderman Carroll.
I second.
Are there any further discussion? Roll call vote.
Alderman Christian,
Yes.
Alderman Thomas,
Yes.
Alderwoman Dales,
Yes.
Alderwoman Avant-Elliott,
Yes.
Alderwoman West,
Yes.
Alderwoman Tapman,
Yes.
and Alderman Carroll.
Yes.
All yes, ma'am.
All righty, thank you.
Thank you to my colleagues. I would love for you to get involved and help with this, please.
Thank you. Approve for city to get quotes, bids for cleaning services. Alderwoman Elliott. Alderwoman Elliott.
I'm sorry. I move that the city draft a RFP for cleaning services and publish accordingly.
Is there a second? All right, the motion dies for the lack of a second.
Alderman Carroll has his
I don't
hand
see
up.
no hand up. Alderman Carroll.
I second.
It's been moved and properly second. Are there any discussion? No discussion. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposers nay. All right, ayes have it. Carnival investigation. And let me caution you as you discuss that, because Alderwoman Elliott requested an investigation. And as long as the investigation is in progress, it is improper for us to discuss that. Alderwoman Elliott.
Okay, the investigation is not of the carnival itself. So doing this report, I want to share that I spoke with Councilwoman Rochelle Gray, who allowed me to inquire of the St. Louis County Health Department of what happened with some of the processes. The carnival company Fun Time did not have food permits, and they received the COVID plan late, and then the COVID plan was violated. They only allowed for a maximum of 50 people, and they had to properly have masks. So that was a violation that took place on North County side. I was under the impression that Bellefontaine Neighbors Police was a part of that process, but it was actually St. Louis County Police that accompanied the inspector that shut it down. So as far as our side as a board, there was some ordinance violations. So our ordinance around special permits indicate that the permit has to be applied for 3 days in advance by the owner or manager of the premise. And that person did not apply for that particular application. In addition to that, the application that we received today indicated that the city engineer would approve it. And in communication with the city engineer, his approval was not inquired. He had not seen the application and was not aware of the need of approval, or was even asked to be advised concerning that process. His only inquiry was from our finance clerk, kind of asking about whether or not he would be the person or someone from our city to issue the electrical permit, and we were not responsible for that part. From there, when the outbreak took place on Saturday, I believe, when there was the shutdown and fights and so forth, that's when the follow-up about the permit began, where an inquiry was made to our collector concerning the process that she used in order to approve the permits. And she indicated that due to surgery, she was not able and available to come in, which led to the part that the mayor is saying is under investigation, which is the potential forgery. So we have a concern from the city of the ordinance violation, but then we also have that potential concern around the forgery. So at this particular time, we had asked for parties to come in to share what their processes were to get an understanding to what happened to it. I understand, Mayor, you have indicated at the beginning a little message, but it was some residents that was wondering why the process was unknown or not adhered to if you had sponsored a carnival at your church, is what someone indicated in the chat. So we wanted to use this time in the meeting to share with the constituents who was concerned about it even taking place based on us being high risk, to why it was even considered, along with the violations on the ordinance side, along with everything else. So the collector indicated that she would not have approved unless all proper documents were in place. And right now, that was not the case. So is there any additional details that the chief or the mayor could provide the community around what happened in the process other than what was stated? Because no person can serve as the manager or owner of a premise as a designee. So the carnival people were not the proper people to even apply for the permit based on our ordinance. Is there any, or the mayor can answer any additional details?
Yes, I was gonna, I don't know if the chief is still on. And I would just like to say that this matter has put our community in a very sensitive light. And I'm concerned that these matters could have been handled, and possibly still can, in-house, where we can get all pertinent information. All persons involved are not available. And we take this opportunity to look at some things that may and may not have been done, look over what has happened as an incident. The matter has been cleared, and we try to move on and acquiesce and moving forward. That's my comment.
Alderwoman Dales.
My statement is that, Mayor, you cautioned the elected officials not to state anything because I'm not sure. I was told that it was going to be under investigation, and I'm not sure if it is or not. I'm sure the chief can speak to that. We should not be discussing a legal matter, nor should anyone from a commission or anyone that is involved in this, if it is under investigation. The comments that I did receive from the neighbors here is that they were embarrassed that the negative was put out in the media instead of handling as professionals behind closed doors. I agree with Alderwoman Tatman. Maybe there were some mistakes made, and we all make mistakes. Everybody on the board, every resident, we all make mistakes. But to put our city out in a negative form, my resident stated this is going to bring our property value down. Doesn't the individual care about us? Why would this be brought out for the whole world to see? It could have been done better and not on the news in a negative matter. So I would hope that the chief was speaking that, you know, everyone know that if it is under investigation, that we should not be discussing anything related to this matter.
Mayor, do you want me to speak?
Avant-Elliott. Oh, Chief shit. Well, Alderwoman Elliott.
He can go ahead. The carnival itself is not under investigation. That's the board's responsibility to identify compliance concerns. And I'm concerned when individuals use the terms of behind closed doors. We serve the public. We have to do everything in a transparent way. It has to be public, and they can decide with the information provided whether or not something was properly handled and what the board's attempt is to rectify the situation. So the portion of forgery is something that would be under investigation, not the actual carnival, which we as the board are responsible for identifying violations that took place on our end. We have documentations that were not completed by proper individuals, did not have the people in charge within our city that it should have been vetted through. So those are concerns that we have to address. So we can do this behind closed doors if we wish, but as elected officials, everything we do is public. And I think that is concerning when we are legislators feel that it's important to not disclose concerns around ordinances when that is the role that we serve. There is a level of difference in branches of government, and ours is to legislate. And sometimes we have the difficulty of dealing with things that may be uncomfortable, but that's our job to do. So I just want to make the point that that's why it's on the agenda, because we're talking about ordinance violations and processes that the community still had questions about. And as far as news, interview with me came after the interview with Mayor. So when people decide to interview, that's because it's an issue in the community. We had Moline, Ferguson, Jennings, all being blamed for this particular situation, and that was unfortunate. It was a lot of lack of communication and coordination amongst the mayors, along with other entities. So we, as a responsible group of elected officials, have to work towards addressing concerns. And when there are concerns that we have consistently addressed, then we have to come up with strategies to not continue to do these things in the same way. So apology is only as good as the change in behavior.
Mr. Chair, may I please? Yes. For clarification, I think my colleagues know as well as the citizens that I am one that's very transparent. I wasn't talking about not being transparent. I was talking about the process by which the matter was handled. I think that since the whole matter is under investigation, all of this could have been handled by bringing all persons involved and discussing the matter, and then disclosing after all people who are involved brought together, and then disclosing what the facts are. I'm still concerned because we don't have the facts, and for us to continue to discuss until we get all parties and all facts, that it could have been handled in a more sensitive way, not hiding anything. And I think everybody knows that. I don't hide anything, and I don't think we should, because that is our responsibility. It's the way it's done. And in the spirit, the seemingly spirit of how it's done, I'm just concerned that we could have handled this in more of a vacuum, and after getting complete facts, and then disclosing that to the citizens. Because right now the citizens are confused with innuendos. We throwing out words as forgery and all those. Those are very pointed words. And I'm just saying, I think until everything and the facts are solidified, that we should probably refrain from maybe using some certain languages and just exacerbating everything. And I'm done. I would like to hear from the chief because, I mean, he was brought into this, and I would like to hear what he would have to say. If that's okay, Mr. Chair, that's okay.
That's fine.
No, thank you, Mayor. I'll be brief. The mayor's statement to the public was a synopsis of what had occurred. There was a complaint that was brought forward to me, and as the chief of police here for the city, I am in a difficult situation where bias and conflict of interest may be involved. And I say that because if there is a criminal violation, it would be investigated by a third-party law enforcement source. If there is an administrative violation, that investigation would be handled internally by whomever the authority is over that and how they choose to investigate it. To discuss this any further publicly will automatically bring into the conversation certain employee or employees that we cannot discuss openly in public. Those are closed session personnel matters as far as I am aware. If the city attorney wants to make any comment on it, I'd appreciate it.
Chief, I agree with the statement you just made. Those are matters that should be discussed in closed session as they involve employees.
All right. Alderwoman Elliott.
That concludes my report. No personnel name has been mentioned, but all of the facts that I have gathered to this point is what I shared. I appreciate Alderman Christian for identifying the ordinance that related to this. So we do, as a board, have an ordinance violation concern that we have to address. And that is the most significant part of our role that I mentioned based on the facts that we do have. That concludes the report that I have.
All right, that also concludes the agenda.
Mayor,
Yes.
we were going to have another public comment after the carnival investigation.
Okay, that is true. Thank you for reminding me.
Yes, sir.
Let me just say that. Let me clear up a couple of things that I heard. You know, my church was brought up into this because we had a carnival, which is no comparison. My church is in unincorporated St. Louis County, and it is a nonprofit, tax exempt entity. It is no comparison to this. So I would appreciate it if our church does not come up in these conversations again. Also, I've been in this city for 21 years in December, and I've gone to a lot of board meetings. I have never seen the mayor go through what I'm going through. And they all weren't perfect either. But it was a board that worked together, and whatever problems they had, they ironed them out. They didn't call the media. They didn't do all things trying to destroy the mayor. And I would like for us to begin to work together for the good and welfare of this city.
And they're saying it was in the paper.
I beg your pardon?
That's the attorney talking.
She muted herself, Mayor. She accidentally talked.
Oh, okay then. Let's see here. Public comments, Mayor Deshay.
Hello.
You're muted, Mayor Deshay.
Good evening. I just want to say that I am so disappointed in this meeting. I had heard things about the meetings, but I witnessed myself the dysfunction of the elected officials. If Bellefontaine don't get out and vote, this is what you all are going to continue to have. I'm not understanding where the confusion is on the mayor's authority and everybody else's place that are sitting on this board. You have a 8-member board, and it seems like, well, no, it's moving toward, this train is moving toward a total derailment. I'm embarrassed to even be sitting in this meeting and to hear this foolishness that you all have to be subjecting your residents to, and anybody that is sitting on this phone and that is listening to their TV. And for people to have titles on their names, doctors, all these other things, that's what you about. And anybody that sees this meeting should know that. So I think Bellefontaine needs to get out and vote. And if they have any question why, tell them to watch this meeting. I'm not understanding it, but hey, I'm over in Moline Acres.
Thank you. CJ Mabry.
Hi, this is CJ Mabry from 920 Fontaine Place. I had just a couple of items. The first one was, what's the status of the barriers that's supposed to go in Ward 4 on Fontaine Place? The reason I ask is because I have about 20 kids, 2 that are special needs that live on my street. And this morning, one of them was almost hit by a car that was speeding down Fontaine Place. And it was actually 2 cars that were speeding down Fontaine Place. And it lets out right there, I think this chain of rocks where you can just hit Hall and either go, 270 or straight into the city. So I'm wondering what's the status of that, and what is the status of the pool repair for the community center. And I really want to know the status of the barriers, because I don't know, I do not want one of these kids to be injured, because going up Chambers, you see poles where you have stuffed animals and bears and all that taped to a pole where a child has lost his life unnecessarily. I don't want one of those on my street. And the last thing is, when I tuned into the meeting at the beginning, it was some issues with the budget and financing and all that that's going on. This is just a shameless plug, but I am a financing professional, and I will be more than happy to serve and work for the city. I have a BS in accounting, a AAS in accounting, 2 certifications, and I'm pursuing a master's in accounting and information systems. So that's all my piece was.
Thank you. Would you call City Hall and leave your name and number, please?
Oh, I'll be up there. I will be up there.
Be up there? Come on up.
All right. Oh, thank you guys for your service, all of you. I know you guys differ on opinion, but it takes a big person. It takes a big person to even want to serve a community that sometimes you don't even see the faces behind. So thank you all for your service.
Thank you. Anyone else?
This is Wanda Lane calling. Answering. I would like to say that I share the same passion that Mayor DeShay shares. There are several violations, ordinance violations, and we can begin with ordinance violation number 2-17, which is the actual responsibility of the president of the Board of Aldermen. It isn't a Lewis Reed kind of position. So that ordinance has been violated on the regular. It's very discouraging and dispiriting that our board can't work together and present a united front on anything. It is very discouraging on that. There were some comments made in the newspaper that apparently are not true. So I was going to ask the chief about that, and apparently that's not what's going on. But the other thing I would like to say is when there's a vote on the board, typically I hear the clerk says such and such will be ordinance if and when the mayor signs it. Now, I know we didn't vote on any ordinances or what have you, but these, quote, standing committees that this board is now deciding to do because they aren't ordinances, doesn't that kind of mean that they're temporary? Meaning when those board members are gone, it's not a law or a rule that can actually be enforced. So I just think if we stop everybody trying to be the boss and allow people to say the things that they want to say, share your own opinion and what have you, and not try to, because it's so very clear, the mayor is under attack, and they're attempting to emasculate him with this Robert Rules thing. So we need to do something different. This isn't working for us, citizens and elected officials. It's just not. That's all I have to say, Mayor.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yes, my name is Everisha Perry, 1245 Danville Lane. I have a question. So when you all were voting on the attorneys, Helmut Starr and Susan, I can't remember, McFarland. So is that to say is that to say we have two separate attorneys now? Or is Attorney Coleman no longer our attorney? I don't understand what you all did right there.
Attorney Coleman is still our attorney.
So what's the issue with this Helmut Starr and Susan McFarland, or whatever her name is?
Yes, Susan McFarland worked for Dorothy Coleman, and Helmut Starr works for, can't think of the guy's name now.
O'Keefe.
Kevin O'Keefe.
Okay, so you're saying that when Attorney Coleman can't be at a meeting, I understood her that when she was reading it, somebody from her firm would be in place.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's what I understood that to be, but then someone else on the board said something about Helmut Starr is going to be on there now. So I don't understand this. How are we going to be able to afford two separate attorney sets?
Helmut Starr won't be on here.
Okay. Now, my other question is regarding the carnival that we held, that not the one that from this past weekend, but from before, that was on Bellefontaine neighbor's property. What month? That was this year, but what month was that held in?
May I answer?
Yes.
Chair? Good evening, Ms. Perry. That carnival was held last year, July 11th, I believe, till the 15th. I think those were the proper dates.
Okay, thank you. And then did the permit procedure change from then to now?
No, the permit procedures differentiate because we've had the carnival on our own ground. We didn't have to give ourselves a permit. What we did have to adhere to was all of the proper coding and licensing and all of that from St. Louis, which we did. We had 3 inspectors who came and inspected all the rides, as well as the food safety inspection. I'll have the chief to speak to the insurance portion because he handled the insurance portion of that. So it's a differentiation between the two because it was on our property as a city and we hosted that as a city. So it wouldn't adhere to the same guidelines as the one this past weekend.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you. Appreciate the time and appreciate the opportunity to be able to ask my questions. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Anyone else?
Mayor, just have one quick comment. This is Rolando Carter, 9615 Duluth. Just going back earlier in the meeting, where the treasurer was talking about issues in the financial department office, where he was talking about the same person handling AP was handling AR and different things like that. I can appreciate the fact that he did identify that that's a problem. And it sounds like that department could use some more checks and balances, especially with the concerns that he brought up in the past. So I just wanted to mention that. Also, this meeting tonight was a treat for me because it was my first, and I've been here, as I said earlier, 22 years. I think that it's important that this governing body agree to disagree, and we do that respectfully. I think that there is a lot of good energy. There was a lot of good energy in this meeting and compassion, but I think that at some points we lost some respect for each other. So I would hope that going forward, we can improve that. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yes, Kath Mason at 1013 Donnell. I think all these issues that you're dealing with now, as far as arguing among the board, I think that was handled under different mayors in the pre-meeting. Didn't bring it out to the floor where it's public and can be discussed on next door and in the paper and in the news. So you might want to consider going back to those pre-meetings. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yes, ASQ Taylor, 9700 Birchman Court. What I've noticed from being on a lot of these calls and previous last board coming to the meetings is that what I've seen with this current board is a lot of contradictions. So it's okay to go to the media and throw out the information about the administrative salary, but then if somebody goes to the media about the carnival being that this is a pandemic, which was thrown around when certain members on the board were trying to do certain things that others opposed to. The pandemic was a big topic. But when you want to do something in the community or anything else, the pandemic don't matter no more when it's your situation going on. So I wish the board to get it together and be on one plane with it. Don't flip-flop it when you want to do your thing and somebody else want to do something you ain't on. So let's get that together first. Be one way and stay that way. Let's quit the flip-flopping. Secondly, I think it's great that people are now coming to these meetings so that they can have their input, so they can see what's really going on in this community. Many residents have been asking for folks to come to these meetings and see what's going on so that the residents can stress and state whatever opinion they have and whatever needs to happen behind the scenes or behind closed doors or whatever can be done so that the community can move forward and build instead of deteriorating like it is at this point. And that's all I got to say.
Thank you, ma'am, for your comment. Anyone else?
Yes. This is Anthony Green at 9228 Waldorf. There are some issues that I've seen, and so I want to make sure I share them real quick and be done with it. Again, my understanding, and if necessary, I can be corrected after the meeting. But my understanding that the Board of Aldermen is supposed to be a team, so built on that, there should be a modicum of respect that everybody has for each other. Everybody on the board is an adult. Everybody should be talking to each other like an adult. And that should just be a matter of just something that's basic and across the board. I don't see that. I see a lot of interesting disrespect that's being thrown across from person to person to person. It's very unnecessary, very disconcerting, and yes, very immature. Two, I see a lot of possibility in the team, but I don't see a lot of teamwork. And I think part of the reason is that what we're really watching is a very interesting power grab at play. I don't like to see that. I don't think we voted for a power grab because teams are built on the fact that the sum of the individual, everybody working together and accomplishing a vision and purpose is greater than the sum of the individual parts. And so we have people trying to do some things that are undermining that. The next thing is, it appears on the board that some people are not used to dealing with situations where they don't get their way. But when I was trained as an adult, part of being an adult is that we don't always get our way. And you don't have to resort to underhanded seeding tactics to try to offset the scale of the balance when you don't get your way. Again, it's part of maturity. Part of maturity is that you understand that you make your points known. You may not always be the person to get a trophy for making your points known. And you may not even get your way, but to be okay that you said your piece, you said what needed to be said, and you did not have to resort to such deplorable behavior, I think says volumes about character. Next, communication. When in doubt, over communicate. And that means meeting deadlines. I don't know why meetings are being conducted without a 24-hour notice being done. This is not throwing shade on any one individual person. It applies to all 8 on the board. Meet the deadline or don't have the meeting. I really don't want excuses. Everybody on the board is too grown to have excuses. Either meet the 24-hour notice deadline or decide, oops, I didn't make the mark, and so we're going to move the meeting to another time where we can make the deadlines. Next, insubordination. I'm not going to say much more about this. It's very obvious there's a lot of insubordination going on because everybody wants to be the captain on the team, but that's not how a team works. Everybody can be a captain. Everybody hasn't been elected a captain. And here's the other thing. Everybody don't even have to like each other. I don't need y'all to like each other. In fact, I don't need y'all to be friends. I don't need y'all to go out and have drinks at the end of a meeting. I need you to get the people's business done, period. I don't care how you get that done, but I need you to be able to act like an adult and a professional and do that at all times. I'm not worried about who's right because nobody gets a trophy for being right. What we need to do is protect the financials. That's the income statement and the balance sheet. They need to be prepared accurately. We need to get over the IT issues, and we need to move forward. I'm tired of all of this bickering back and forth because it's really a deep-seated need that people have to be right in the moment. And no one's getting a glory trophy for this. No one's going to go. And now that we're going to the news about it, this shows that, to me, I don't know which individuals. There is a high level of pettiness that is going on, which again speaks to maturity issues. I'm just disappointed altogether. I think there's a lot of possibility on this board, but pride, arrogance, lack of respect, everybody wanted to get their own individual way at the expense of destroying the team, insubordination, and the inability to agree to disagree. There'll be sometimes we won't agree, and that's quite fine. But we don't have to tear each other down, condemn each other, judge each other, throw everybody under the bus, throw the whole, throw out the goose who lays the golden egg on top of everything else. We don't have to do that unless we want to cater to our basest instinct. And that's it. I mean, I really wish the board well, but I just really am disturbed by what I'm seeing because no one wants to just take the higher road. Everybody wants to be right, and everybody wants to win at any expense necessary, and that's just a danger. It's a recipe for danger.
Point of order. This is Alderwoman West. The 3 minutes are gone.
Thank you, Anthony. I'll let you go because you were saying some things I thought we needed to hear. Is there anyone else want to share tonight?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
Okay, this is Amy Mulholland. I am the recreation supervisor for the city of Bellefontaine neighbors. I want to remind everybody who comes to the meeting next week, they have to have a mask on to be able to be entered into the building, and we will be taking temperatures. Thank you.
Amy, you probably didn't hear me earlier. We're going to have it by Zoom because it has been indicated that too many people will show up, and we won't be able to follow COVID-19 distancing in the gym. So we're gonna have to go with the Zoom meeting again for the town hall.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yes, Mayor, this is Pamela Clark from 1115 Avant. I'd like to echo 100%, 200% of what the gentleman just said. He could not have said it any better than what I've listened to. This is the first time, probably the last time I've ever attend one of these things, only because something is going on here that I think that matters. But the second thing I would like to, he didn't mention that I think that needs to be mentioned is I think whatever's going on in our finance department that is not being handled in a timely manner, you as a supervisor, I think, need to put a timeline on it, because if it goes 6 months from now, 6 months from now makes a difference in my household financially. If I can't grab hold of whatever's going on, could cause me to be bankrupt 6 months from now. So I think that, you know, hey, put a timeline on it, 30 days, 60 days or something, put a timeline on it. And if it's not right, then you can revisit that. But just to put it in his lap and let him figure it out, I think it's like passing the buck. Finances is number one in this household. Finances is number one. And then second, the last thing I want to say to what I heard here that I think that is not wrong. We're not sweeping anything under the rug. We're not sweeping anything under the rug. We're not talking anything that can't be said to the public, because you guys are public officials that we put you guys in place to be able to handle matters for us. You don't handle anything behind our backs that we should not be able to speak with freely in public to you know, this is what goes on in my household over here on 1115. It goes on in my household until it bleeds off into the public. You guys, everything you go on there is a magnifying glass on you guys. And it's not that you should put anything in the dark. We should be able to know what's going on, whether it's the carnival or whatever, the media, whatever. It should not, you should always have it above ground. Whatever's going on in this city should be above ground. It should not be withheld from the public. That's just my opinion. You know, you guys do what you want to do, and that's fine. But it's just frustrating what I've heard tonight, and my blood pressure can't handle it. You know, really. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Anyone else? No one else? Then a motion is in order. We'll bring it back, and the motion is order for to end to move dismissal of the meeting and go into closed session. Oh, somebody got a hand up, don't they? Let me just hold on 1 second. Alderwoman Elliott.
I move that the board go into closed session per sections 6120.021-3 and 12, which are relating to hiring, firing, discipline, and promoting employees, and seal bids and related documents until bids are opened, and seal proposals, etc. That's on the agenda.
Is there a second? Oh, geez. I'm assuming somebody got a hand up. Okay. Alderwoman Alderman Carroll. Yes, I see you.
I second.
It's been moved and second. Are there any further discussion? Alderwoman Dales.
Is it possible that before we go into session that we could take maybe a 5 minutes to, you know?
You need a 5-minute break.
Yeah.
Okay, Mayor, I can't raise my hand, so I'm gonna have to say this. I was told that this meeting would go from 7 to 9, so the closed session was scheduled from 9 to 11. It's now 10 o'clock, so we're probably kicked out again. We don't stick to our time, and then we get kicked out. So I will have to go in there and set it up and restart it. And then I'll have to call someone in, another person, and give you the codes to get in. So
We can try it first, Fran, and then if it doesn't work, we can go from there. Because I use Zoom all the time. It should be okay.
okay, we can try it. If it's not open, then just know that you'll have to get a phone call.
Yeah, and I
right,
won't be in attendance.
All right, then. So we will, all in favor say aye.
We got a roll call vote, Mayor.
Go roll call then.
Alderwoman West,
Yes.
Alderwoman Tapman,
Yes.
Alderwoman Reed is gone. Alderman Carroll,
Yes.
Alderman Thomas,
Yes.
Alderman Christian,
Yes.
Alderwoman Dales,
Yes.
and Alderwoman Avant-Elliott.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, yes, Mayor.
All right, so we're moving in now into closed session. It was good to have so many of you on tonight, and we hope that you will continue to follow us and help keep us on track. Thank all of you for your comments. They were well received. And so have a good night, everybody, except for the board.
Mr. Chair, I won't be able to attend. Could it be noted by the city clerk, please?
Okay.
Well, when I call your name and you're not there, that's when I mark you absent.
Okay, thank you, dear.
You're welcome.
Mayor,
night.
can I have 5 minutes? Is that possible?
Yeah, did we do the roll call vote on this? Oh, yeah, we did this.
We just did, yes.
All right, everybody, have a good night.
Okay, I'm clicking off so I can see if we're on the other one.
Okay.
Bye-bye.